the best information on the world internet. We encourage you to leave a subscription and like. I invite you to today's report from the front. Russian authorities have reported a new incident involving a drone attack on the capital early Saturday morning, Reuters reported. Moscow's mayor, Sergey announced that air defense systems managed to shoot down a drone over the Istrinsky area in the Moscow region. Organizations responsible for security announced the temporary closure of airspace over Vnukovo, Sheremetyevo, and Domodedovo airports. All aircraft takeoff and landing operations have been halted. Reuters stressed that this is another incident of drone attacks on Moscow and its environs in the same week. The Russian side accuses Ukraine of the actions, although Kiev does not usually confirm its responsibility. In the town of Osipenko, near Berdyansk in the Zaporizhia region, in the occupied areas in southern Ukraine, some 1,500 Russian soldiers of Buryatic origin have been housed in buildings housing Ukrainian civilians. This was the information provided by the General Staff of the Ukrainian Army in a report this morning. This event took place last Wednesday. Enemies were also placed on the premises of a local medical facility. Enemy troops are once again violating the principles of international humanitarian law, cynically using the people of Ukraine as human shields, the staff reported. Similar reports have been coming in from the areas of Ukraine under occupation since February 2022, the beginning of the Russian invasion. The aggressor's soldiers are being housed in hospitals, schools, and kindergartens, and are deploying their weapons and military equipment in the immediate vicinity of civilian facilities, including residential homes. General Oleksandr Syrsky, commander of the Ukrainian ground forces, carried out a visit to the front in the Kupiansk and Lyman areas, where he noted that the enemy has reinforced its troops by redeploying recently formed brigades from Russia. Information on the visit was reported by Ukrainian TV station Espresso on Friday evening. General Syrsky noted that over the past month, the Russian Federation has suffered significant losses in the difficult fighting in the area. Currently, enemy forces are regrouping and moving newly formed brigades and divisions out of Russian territory, the general stated. The Russians' goal is to raise the level of their combat capability and resume offensive operations, Syrsky stressed. According to Ukrainian military assessments in August, Russia is seeking to control the Kupiansk area and is conducting an offensive in the Lyman region for two main reasons. The first is an attempt to stretch the front line, which would force Ukraine to move some of its forces from the Zaporizhia and Donetsk regions, where a counteroffensive against the Russians is underway. The second goal is revenge for the defeat in the Kharkiv region, including the loss of Kupiansk the previous September. The British Ministry of Defense reported today that the Kupiansk-Lyman sector area in northeastern Ukraine is currently the scene of small but existing attacks by Russian armed forces. Nonetheless, there is the potential that these aggressor activities could be stepped up. According to a daily intelligence update, the Ukrainian counteroffensive is putting pressure on Russian troops in Bakhmut and southern Ukraine. However, Russia's Western military group, despite these pressures, is continuing small-scale attacks in the Kupiansk-Lyman sector area in northeastern Ukraine and has made some limited progress there. The report indicates that as the Ukrainian army gradually regains control of areas of southern Ukraine, Russia's military doctrine suggests that Russia may try to regain the initiative by resuming its offensive at the operational level. The Kupiansk-Lyman sector is identified as a potential area where such actions could take place. The Defense Ministry stresses that there is a real risk that Russia could intensify its offensive operations in the Kupiansk-Lyman sector over the next 2 months, potentially seeking to move west toward the Oskol River and create a buffer zone around the Luhansk region. Ukrainian soldiers engaged in fighting near the town of Robotyne in the Zaporizhia region believe they have broken through the Russians' toughest line of defense in southern Ukraine and can now continue their advance, Reuters reported in its report from the region. A commander nicknamed Kombat, in charge of some of the troops who entered Robotyne last Wednesday, stressed that their goal is not to stop in Robotyne, but to reach the city of Berdyansk on the Sea of Azov. He stated, "We are not stopping here. We have Berdyansk and the rest of the way ahead of us. The distance between Robotyne and Berdyansk is about 100 kilometers, and to the strategically important Melitopol is about 85 kilometers. Both of these cities are under Russian occupation. The goal of the Ukrainian counteroffensive is to split Russian forces in southern Ukraine, but according to an assessment by U.S. officials last week, Ukraine's capture of Melitopol appears difficult to achieve. In an interview with Reuters, the combat commander explained that his troops had broken through the main mined roads. He expressed confidence that they could now continue their forward movement by passing through areas where the Russians had primarily logistical groups, which he said would make it easier to break through Russian defenses. Speaking about the current situation, Kombat stressed that they are still fighting for two houses in Robotyne, where Russian soldiers are still located. Intense month of fighting and experiencing significant losses on the Kupiansk and Limansk fronts, the commander of the Ukrainian ground forces, Oleksandr Syrskyi, announced that the enemy is currently restructuring its forces and sneaking equipment. General Syrskyi additionally stressed that at the same time the opponent is redeploying newly formed brigades and divisions to the Ukrainian theater of operations from the Russian area. Russian troops attacked a cafe in Podoli in northeastern Ukraine on Saturday morning, resulting in the deaths of 2 people, reported Oleh Syniehubov, head of the Kharkiv region government. Earlier, the governor of the Kherson region, located in the south of the country, reported 1 fatality as a result of an overnight attack on the village of Olhivka. In the village of Podoli, located on the outskirts of Kupiansk, the enemy attacked a civilian facility where residents gathered during the day. Exact information on the number of casualties is still being determined, Syniehubov reported. During the night from Friday to Saturday, Russian occupiers shelled residential buildings in the town of Olhivka, which is located on the Dnipro River. A severely wounded 83-year-old woman was taken to the hospital, but unfortunately her life could not be saved, Kherson Region Governor Oleksandr Prokudin reported. In the previous days, on Friday, the aggressor attacked 26 villages in the Zaporizhia region in southern Ukraine. As a result of these attacks, a 58-year-old resident of Melitopol was killed, said Yuri Malashko, head of the regional government. A bulk carrier named Primus departed from the port of Odessa today. This is the second ship using the humanitarian corridor through the Black Sea, established by Ukraine in August, Interfax Ukraine reported. The Primus ship, flying the flag of Liberia, is headed for Varna, Bulgaria. The first ship to use this humanitarian corridor was a container ship named Joseph Schulte. It set sail from Odessa on August 16th and arrived in Turkey on August 18th, carrying a cargo of more than 30,000 tons. The Ukrainian Navy announced in mid-August that it was putting in place a temporary corridor to allow commercial vessels to leave the ports of Odessa, Chernomorsk, and Pivdeny, which have been blocked by Russia as part of its blockade of Ukrainian goods exports through the Black Sea. Sergey Filatov, former head of President Boris Yeltsin's administration, has died at the age of 87, the independent portal Novaya Gazeta reported. Filatov was a key figure in the 1990s of the 20th century and headed the administration of the Russian president from 1993 to 1996. Sergey Filatov was known for his active involvement in building a democratic Russia. In the year 1995, he took part in the inauguration of the construction of the Polish War Cemetery at Katyn. On behalf of President Yeltsin, together with then Polish President Lech Walesa, he laid the foundation act for the cemetery. In the year 1994, as President Yeltsin's envoy, he participated in Poland's celebrations marking the 50th anniversary of the Warsaw Uprising. His daughter confirmed the death of Sergey Filatov, adding that he died on the 20th Friday of August. Filatov played an important role in Russia's political landscape during the crucial period of transition following the collapse of the USSR. Russia has issued a warning to Chisinau, the capital of Moldova, regarding further involvement in the process of supporting Ukraine. According to the Russian Foreign Ministry, such actions threaten stability and security in the region. Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova described Moldova as a logistical appendage of the Kiev regime and accused the country of destroying freedom of speech. Zakharova said that despite Moldova's neutral status enshrined in the constitution, the West continues to involve the country in the Ukrainian conflict. She warned that this action would make Moldova co-responsible for the alleged war crimes of the Kiev regime, repeating the Kremlin's propaganda line that often blames Western countries, especially the United States. Maria Zakharova pointed out that Moldova supplies various goods, including fuel, lubricants, medicines, and food, and allows military cargoes to be transported to Ukraine through its territory. She also accused the Moldovan authorities of destroying freedom of speech, saying that these countries are already on a par with Ukraine in terms of destroying media freedom. In response to this warning, Moldova's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and European Integration said they would continue to provide all possible assistance to Ukraine, both bilaterally and within the framework of international organizations. Chisinau authorities stressed that the country's neutrality does not mean isolation, and they continue to partner with organizations and countries to preserve peace and security.